The 2025 NFL offseason started strong last week with a flurry of moves, and that means a visit to the stock market for an early evaluation is in order for us at Penn State Sports Night. Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm your host, Owen Klein, and with me are Sophia Monteforte and Jenna Wissman. Ladies, let's get right to it. After a 4,300-yard and 35-yard touchdown season with the Minnesota Vikings, quarterback Sam Darnold earned a 3-year, $100.5 million contract with the Seattle Seahawks. Sophia, are you buying or selling stock on Darnold being able to repeat last year?
Oh, being able to repeat last year, I'm selling. But I understand the move because I just think that he went into Minnesota in a rookie QB's position as a vet. So I think that aids to why he did so well. I understand I believe it was 14-3 for their season, choked in the playoffs, and then it was just like, what more is there for him? I don't think Seattle is that team that's going to do it for him. I know, Jenna, you were saying that too. Like, who do they have?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Sam Darnold doesn't have Justin Jefferson to throw it to anymore. I think he's an average quarterback, and I was honestly impressed with what he was able to do with Minnesota. But once again, you saw how the season ended against the Los Angeles Rams. He choked in the playoffs, and that's just a continuing thing for him, it seems like. But yeah, he doesn't have his weapons. DK Metcalf is gone. He is traded. Who is he going to have? But honestly, I think this is time for Seattle to kind of experiment more with maybe running the ball and doing some other things. So I'll be interested to see what he's doing. Like Sophia said, I understand the move. I get it. And I think this is a good place for him to kind of reinvent himself, if that makes any sense. I'm interested to see what he'll do.
And another thing was the fact that they were comparing this trade to Baker Mayfield going to the Tampa Bay, and you saw what happened there. He's found comfort there, but this isn't a QB that we're getting so excited about every time they step onto the field. So I'm seeing the same thing for Darnold, and it's not like he's walking onto a perfectly built team that just needed that one vet QB. I mean, he's 28 years old, looks 50, so I would have never known that. But it's just something that I'm just like, I don't know. I wasn't too thrilled about it. I felt nothing about it. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's Sam Darnold. I mean, he doesn't really get me excited, so
yeah. So what are you buying or selling quickly,
I am
Jenna?
selling.
Yeah. So, and I am selling as well, but I can see why you did that. You mentioned the lack of weapons. They did sign Cooper Kupp a couple of days ago, but who knows if that's going to be enough.
Exactly.
But however, Darnold is 28, as you said, and he is familiar with Clint Kubiak, who's the new offensive coordinator from their time in San Francisco.
Yeah, I know that the coaches are really excited about this play. The head coach was like jumping up and down when Darnold was at a press conference saying that he was going to be with them, but fans are not happy.
But Seattle is going to get the best play out of him. There's no dead money after the first year, so this is basically a one-year prove-it contract, and another excellent move by John Schneider and company. So, but as we know, the Kansas City Chiefs' offensive line weakness was exposed in the Super Bowl in February, and whether it has gone better or worse for them is still up in the air. They traded All-Pro guard Joe Thuney to the Chicago Bears, but signed former San Francisco 49er tackle Jalen Moore to a 2-year, $30 million deal to be Patrick Mahomes' new blindside blocker. Sophia, will these moves work out for KC, or is Mahomes set to take a beating in the pocket again? Buy or sell?
I'm buying this one. I definitely don't think he's taking a beating in the pocket. I like Reed's decision to go for that O-line to fix those holes because the Kansas City doesn't have too many holes in their team, and we saw in the Super Bowl that 40-22 loss, you can 8-2 part of that O-line mistake. And then, like you were saying, back in against the Bucs.
Yeah, back when they played the Bucs in the Super Bowl and they lost, they had gotten beaten by because of their O-line, and they were able to bounce back from that. Andy Reid was able to rebuild, and they went to the Super Bowl 2 out of those 3 seasons afterwards. So I think that goes to show that Andy Reid's very good at rebuilding, and he's going to be just fine. He's prioritizing the right pieces. Their O-line needs work. He knows that. They're going to go out, and they're going to get some good guys.
And I haven't seen him throwing a lot of money on extending people more millions and millions of dollars for like 2 or 3 more years. They haven't made that move yet, which I think would be smart if they just go pick up some key underdogs in the free agency, be smart in their draft pick, because they always are so low. They're always so far behind that they're never getting the first 5. They won't get the first 5 probably for the next 3 years. But I like the way he maneuvers around the free agency. I think he makes those good deals with the other teams, and I'm happy about it. I'm buying this one.
I'm buying as well.
So I am also buying this one too. Kansas City's gone through kinds of trades like this before. It happened with the Tyreek Hill going to Miami. Sure, Mahomes hasn't found a secondary reliable weapon, it feels like, for a while, but maybe he can get that Xavier Worthy later on in the next couple of years. But Kansas City, they can refigure the offensive line. Maybe move Trey Smith over to left guard where he played at Tennessee. But I have faith in Andy Reid and company that they'll be able to fix these issues no problem and get back to the Super Bowl. And as for the team the Chiefs lost to in the Super Bowl, one can argue the Philadelphia Eagles don't need to do much this offseason. They extended running back Saquon Barkley and linebacker Zach Bond, both All-Pros, but lost key pieces such as guard Mekhi Becton and defensive tackle Milton Williams. Sophia, which side is the most glaring to you? Are you buying or selling the Eagles?
My thing about the Eagles, and I was talking about this earlier, it's kind of like losing Becton and losing Williams, it's a good money move because they're going to save money and then they spend all that money on Saquon. So it's kind of like, I understand where they're coming from, and they have a lot of draft picks, so they can fill those shoes. I was just surprised by their performances in the Super Bowl and last season. They're both, Becton and Williams are both good players, but like their offensive coordinator can make anyone look good on that line, and he's done a good job at filling in those holes with players that people were a little unsure about in the past. So that's why I'm not too worried about that. But like, I don't know. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking like this is what I expect. You know, I know that the Eagles, this is what was going to happen because they won the Super Bowl, okay? The guys need to get paid. They need to get out of there. Stuff needs to change. But I still think that the Eagles are a really solid team. Saquon Barkley re-signed. Love to see it, especially Zach Bond as well. Like you mentioned, both being all pros. But the thing about the Eagles is C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Losing him is tough because he was so dominant on defense. He brought that energy too. You talk about Philadelphia, the city, the grit, the fans. That is what C.J. Gardner-Johnson was. And honestly, I was surprised when he tweeted out a very nice message after they announced the trade because you never know what is going to come out of his mouth. But honestly, I think he's going to thrive with the Texans. I think they're kind of looking for someone like him to kind of hold people accountable, be the gritty guy, and I think that's what he is. So, yeah.
So are you buying or selling, Jenna?
I'm buying.
I am going to buy as well. As you mentioned, the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade, Jenna. The Eagles acquired Kenyon Green, a former first-round pick of the Texans, a guard no less, in that trade. And perhaps Green can become another story under Jeff Stoutland, who just does such a good job of making that offensive line work so well together.
Exactly. Philadelphia in general is just really good at developing young players. You see what they were able to do with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean this year. I mean, it's crazy. They even developed Mekhi Becton when he came to Philadelphia. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do with more young players coming in.
Yeah, and that's what didn't scare me about this either, was the fact that I was a little surprised to see so many trades and so many people leave the Eagles right after that win, because I thought that was a squad. Like, we haven't seen much change in Kansas City. I didn't think we'd see much change with them. But you have to owe it to the coaching staff, and you have to owe it to the players. And I think Barkley also is bringing in a great environment that people are really loving to play with each other, and the chemistry on the team. You can tell it from the way that they all interact. So that's another thing that I'm not too worried about.
I'm buying them. But what about the only team to defeat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game since the New England Patriots did it in 2019? Last night, the Cincinnati Bengals extended receivers Jamar Chase and T. Higgins for 4 years. Chase will earn about $40 million per year on his new deal, while Higgins will earn about $29 million per year on his. Sophia, will this be enough to get the Bengals back to the Super Bowl, or are there too many holes on their roster? Buy or sell?
I'm selling this, absolutely. There was no reason that they need to make Jamar Chase the highest non-paid quarterback in the league, because this is just someone like he was. I don't think he was leaving either way. You could have offered him a little more money to extend it, but it wasn't going to be crazy. And their defense is horrible in the red zone. The red zone touchdown percentage is 67.9%, making them 30th in the league in that red zone area. Why are you extending your dream team offense when you know that they're good? You know that they could say, I'm sure Burrow's thrilled. The three of them together do a great job, but besides that, I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, the problem with the Bengals is not their offense. The problem is their rotten defense. You saw it last season. I mean, it was just horrific to watch, and that's where they need to put their money. Honestly, though, it's hard for the franchise. I mean, you want to keep these two guys. You want to keep Higgins. You want to keep Chase. So you pay them. That's great. But at the same time, you're losing money, and that's where you need to put into other defenders. So they're going to need to get these young guys that come in from the draft in April, and they're going to need to be ready to go right away. They're going to need to be 100%, and they're going to have to step up.
So you're buying or selling, Jenna?
Selling.
I'm afraid I have to sell too. Sure, the extensions are great and all, and you guys mentioned the defense. It has to be fixed. You may as well spend every draft pick you can on defense. In round 1, look for guys like Nick Emenwari, James Pierce, and Walter Nolan to emerge as potential targets for the Bengals. And you know, many more teams are looking to make themselves known in the NFL landscape this offseason. And if yesterday was any indication, the push to do so isn't stopping anytime soon. For Sophia Monteforte and Jenna Wissman, I'm Owen Klein. Thanks for tuning in to Penn State Sports Night, and see you next time.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to this edition of Penn State Sports Night.
For more content like this and so much more, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X. For everyone here at Penn State Sports Night,
We are
Penn State Sports Night.